I promise to keep it as short as possible. It's a long, tiring day. I see it's an empty hall. It's a comment for the organizers also to better manage the time next time around. But the topic was very important, and I hope that there were more utility participants here. We as Ericsson, we are known to be the number one telco player. We are also the fourth largest ICT company in the world. We are also into the area of smart metering, and I would now take next 3 or 4 slides to kind of give you an explanation as to why this is important, what lessons we have learned, and I think it can be a very valuable learning for the deployments that are happening in India and when we're looking at pan-city and large-scale deployments. A typical business case of an AMI deployment rests upon a lot of, want to have advantages. For example, you want to reduce your OPEX, you want to reduce your field services costs. In India, typically, we want to save losses, we want to bring down the AT&C reduction, and so on. And then we also want to create an alternative market which gives you value-added services around traditionally a very regimented and a very, very guarded sector. What did we learn? Ericsson today manages 42 million meters on Ericsson platforms globally. We have the advantage of being in the world's oldest, so to say, smart metering markets, which are also very highly penetrated markets, especially Italy and Sweden. These are again very highly mature markets, and now they're going in the phase 2 or the second generation deployment of smart metering. And some of the issues, in fact, that came up were not related to purely on the mature technologies, but also standards. We learned a lot about the value of standardization that's required today. And also some things around poor processes which go around, which can spoil the entire investment case, and also about how do you manage in the project management cycle of this deployment. So what did we learn? We learned a lot of things, whether it was on the operations side, typically we have seen in India what is happening. We're looking at small pilots, we're looking at isolated pilots, we are looking at reduced pilots. Things haven't really come to a massive scale, but what also can happen is when you decide to do a project, it is good to do it completely on a pan city, because the buzzword around the pilot can die very fast, and then the entire investment case looks quite weak. What we learned was also asset degradation. At times, utilities fail to recognize that the comms card inside the meter was also a utility asset, or the smart meter was also a utility asset. So sometimes when you do the regular maintenance activities, you forgot, and there was a surge current somewhere, and the comms module burnt out, or things like that happened. So this is something we saw. Then unexpected deployment cost. You continue to do the same thing again and again and again. So that brings that 80-20 principle. So what we propose is you spend 80% of time plan it really well, so you have to spend only 20% time to deploy this. Communication failure, yes, that was the biggest and one of the most frequent learnings. So the card did not speak, or the data did not come, and the whole system starts to weaken, and the whole case started to fall apart. So we as Ericsson, we are known for comms, and this is something we have learned over the period of time, that this is a very important piece. And I think at this moment of time, we are very sure that how we alone can get it right for you. LV grid mapping, I think this is also an opportunity from the Indian context. This is also a challenge. This is an opportunity. We have seen the poor state of affairs, which when we see the distribution networks today, even the consumer profile tagged to the different, the transformer where the supply is coming. So there are a lot of challenges around data. There is a very good push from the government to link the Aadhaar cards, and create the national database. And I think this is a fantastic opportunity when we look at the LV grid mapping. We try to clean up this data tagging and consumer indexing, and we do it right. We do it at one time. We also saw at times there were uncoordinated operations. On the meter to cash cycle, we did everything, but the losses didn't come down. So of course, there can be challenges. So analytics plays a very important part. So when you look at an end-to-end deployment, Look at it completely. Don't look at only that we deploy smart meters and we do some part around the some intelligence around the software. But let's look at a completely new MDM, everything, and with the interoperability inbuilt. Limited demand management. So demand side management is a very, very important lever when you go on AMI deployment. So, you have to look at, especially again, this will be very important, very relevant for India. How do you incentivize and how do you excite the consumer that he plays an active part in the demand side management? Suboptimal processes and application integration. So you can do everything right, but the legacy utility systems don't support you. So, you can have an obsolete metering system, you have everything, but you don't know where to store and manage data. So this is something which we have to see and how to solve along the way, because an end-to-end deployment would also mean looking at, creating assets around deployment, analytics, creating assets around data center, cloud, and so on. And creating new service models. So in the past, in the first generation AMI deployments, we did not see that happening. But I think given the context in India and given the ecosystem of different partners today, I'm sure we will be able to create another ecosystem where we can create different market opportunities for companies to come in, whether it's managing it as a service, whether it's communication as a service, whether it's data as a service. So I'm sure there will be a very interesting and exciting times. With that, I thank you all on behalf of Ericsson, and I wish you a good evening. Thank you.